So choosing either of those positions, whether the legs are straight or there's a bend to the knees, lightly leaning forwards. And drawing your awareness to your pelvic floor, we're going to link the pelvic floor play with the breath. So as you breathe in, find that contraction slightly drawing in and up through the pelvic floor muscles. And then as you breathe out, softening throughout the pelvic floor muscles. Can you focus on releasing and softening these muscles? Closing the eyes and visualizing the hammock of your pelvic floor muscles. So there's a kind of a sling-like hammock shape of the pelvic floor. The front passage, the urethra, where you wee, and the middle passage, the vaginal walls, and the back passage. So you could take a moment to visualize these three areas and explore with a curiosity, and explore it with a lightness, sense of play. As you breathe in, visualize that lift of the front, middle, and the back, drawing in and up. And then as you breathe out, softening the front, middle, and the back, releasing completely. It can often be really hard to release these muscles. There's kind of a resistance to releasing them. And we need these muscles to be as soft as strong, like water, that soft strength of water, adaptable, flexible, and strong. Taking a moment to draw in and up. There's this in and up sensation contracting throughout the front, the walls of the vagina, draw in and up, and the back passage, feeling that strength and maybe holding it for 1 or 2 counts. As you hold it, can you let the jaw stay soft and the belly? And then slow down the release of those muscles. So can you begin to soften for 1, 2, 3, and 4. That full release with the exhale. And do that twice more. Breathing in as you draw in and up through the front, middle, and back. And there's no right or wrong, we're just exploring with awareness. And then softening the front, middle, and back. And this time, allow the face muscles to relax. Drawing in and up through the front, middle, and back. And softening, slowly releasing the front, middle, and back passage. And letting that go, we'll have a little shake out. Shaking out through the hands. And then taking a deep breath in through the nose. Next side, let the arms drop, maybe blubber lips out. And we'll cross the legs for a moment, just doing one more seated position before starting with a little more movement in the entire body. So releasing out through the head and the neck now. And gently draw your chin down towards the chest, let the head be heavy. And then slowly roll your head up towards the left shoulder. Keep the eyes open or closed. And gently rolling the head down. And up towards the right shoulder. Feeling this soft release throughout the head and the neck. I really recommend doing these little head rolls in the morning and the evening. And if you don't do any other movement, releasing out through the tension in the neck can have a really great effect on the mind, actually, create that sense of relaxation. So just taking a moment to close your eyes if you haven't already and notice how it feels to slowly roll the head from side to side. How does that feel? And can you let the elbows be heavy, so the shoulders drape down? There's a sense of relaxation, not only through the neck, but the upper back and the shoulders. We'll take 2 more like this, maybe moving a little slower this time. Allow the breath to be natural and seeing if you can stay present with the breath. And coming back to center, allowing the head to settle. And then interlacing the fingers and flip your palms to face forwards and up. So we'll start to move with the breath now. And if you'd like to put the music on now, feel free to, so we can get a little more fluidity throughout the practice. So as you turn the palms to face forwards, breathe in to reach up. And then breathe out and stretch over to the right side. Inhale back to center. And then exhale, left side. And to move with your breath, breathe in back up. Breathe out, right side. Inhale. And exhale. And one more of each. Come back to center, releasing the arms wide. We'll make your way to all fours. Second, your hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. And then just to free up the wrists so that they're nice and relaxed, shaped out and invigorating out through the palms of the hands, so you can use your entire hand. We're going to bring the elbows wide and then shake out through the wrists like we did last week. Really waking up the hands and making sure you've got that strong foundation through the palms in your down dog. So once you've done this for a little while, bring your hand to a hover just above the mat and spread the fingers a little further apart so you can feel a little bit of resistance between the mat and your hands. So about an inch or so hover over the hand above. And then plant the hand down and just notice the difference from one hand to the next. Your left hand feels a little more alive, hopefully. And doing that same with the right hand. And with this right hand to a hover after that shake. Notice any temperature or texture underneath the hands. What does that feel like? And then spreading the fingers a little further, plant the hand down so you can feel throughout both hands. Feel throughout the fingers and the palms of the hand, the entire hand is awake and present. And now finding a soft doming of the spine, let your head be heavy, and gently tilt the tailbone down as much as your pregnant body allows. And now leading with the tailbone, there's that pelvic awareness. Start to tilt your tailbone up and then trace your awareness up through the length of the spine as you slowly turn your spine into that cow shape. So in the cow shape, the tailbone's tilting up and the heart's facing forwards and open as this kind of smile across the collarbone and the chest. And now tracing your awareness from the head down towards the pelvic area. Gently turn the head down and roll your awareness down through the neck, the upper back, the mid back, lower back and the pelvis as your pelvis turns down. We can start to move with a slight more pace, so just slowly increasing the pace and keeping that awareness throughout the spine. You're tracing your awareness from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head, articulating your spine and noticing the relationship between the skull and the pelvis. And slowly trace your awareness from the head all the way down to the pelvis. And as you find these slow, mindful movements through the spine, and you add in your breath. So as you breathe in through your nose, moving into that cow shape, breathe out through your nose into the cat shape. And that ripple effect throughout the spine. It's watery movement. It's in the soft strength of the spine. It's fluid and adaptable, strong. Nourishing that with the breath. You've got 3 diaphragms in the body that are referred to in yoga. This is the diaphragm of the throat, the obvious diaphragm beneath the lungs, and the diaphragm of the pelvic floor, and they all relate to one another. Your breath directly relates to your pelvic floor. And this is really, really evident in your labour when your midwife tells you to breathe. And breath is that fantastic tool to help guide you through labour. So when we spend this time in the cat-cows, not only does it encourage your baby into that optimal fetal position, to encourage you to have a smooth birth physically, and connection to your breath can help calm you, and a really great practice for when you're in labour, to have that awareness of the breath. So keeping this thread of the breath and now taking the circular movements out of the pelvis. So like we did when we sat down on the ground, but now circulating the pelvis around the head of the thigh bones. It's moving them slowly so you can really become aware of how your hips feel today. If the wrists start to feel a little sore, then feel free to create 2 fists with your hands, and this can create them a little more support if you're not used to weight bearing on the hands. You could also place a book or a block underneath the hands if it's feeling too much. And as we're drawing these circles, these fluid-like movements throughout the hips, and you imagine you're drawing a spiral shape from the innermost part of the spiral to the outermost part of the spiral. You're gradually making those circles a little wider. And as you do this, can you keep that thread with the breath? And then a slow breath in and a slow breath out. So although there's that control to the breath, we're finding a smooth, effortless breath. You need to change the breath, working with it to slow it down, bring you into harmony. And that connection with your breath and your movement. And when you've got the largest part of your spiral, switch direction. And continue moving with your breath. Gradually making those circles from large to small. And spiraling all the way in towards the pelvic floor, coming back to that awareness of the pelvic floor muscles, that sling or hammock of muscles, and the front, middle, and back passage. And you slow down those circles and make them so subtle that you're spiraling your awareness in and up through the pelvic floor muscles. And now allowing your awareness to be just on the pelvic area. I'm going to bring this position to a pause and a stop. And imagine there's 2 magnets on the hip bones, so a magnet on either side of your pelvis, kind of plugging in towards one another. As these magnets draw in towards one another, can you imagine 2 more magnets from the top of the pelvic area, kind of the top of the vaginal walls, heading up towards the womb, and the very bottom of the vaginal area. Imagine 2 magnets from there drawing in and up, so there's that little play of awareness throughout the pelvic floor. And now without moving the entire spine, we're going to explore just isolating the movement of the pelvis. So can you tilt the pelvis up and then tilt the pelvis down? So the spine will move a little bit, but it's not like we did before where there's this exaggerated movement of the spine. It's that very subtle tilt of the pelvis, forwards and back. So exploring that heightened sense of awareness around the pelvic girdle. A little tilt of the pelvis. And we're going to add a bit of this pelvic floor work in with these pelvic movements. So as you tilt the tailbone down, breathe in and up, drawing in and up as the pelvis turns down, tailbone down. And as you tilt the tailbone up, soften and release, breathe out. Tilt the tailbone down, breathe in and up, contract front, middle and back. Just having a play. And breathing out, tailbone turns up, soften the pelvic floor. Breathing in, drawing in and up, tilt the pelvis. Breathing out, soften and release. And taking 2 more like this at your own time. And you explore the pelvic floor muscles with that curiosity and a sense of play. And then release. Now release out through your hands. Before we move to standing, just come to a seated position for a moment so that you're semi-kneeling with the balls of the feet tucked under, so you're resting here on the balls of the feet. If that feels really uncomfortable, feel free to choose a different position. And we're going to free up the wrists a little, so you can interlace through your fingers and find a wave-like movement around the wrists. So I've been on them for a little while in those all 4 movements. But I do really recommend getting down all 4s as much as you can, really. If you can sprinkle a bit of that throughout your day, even if it's just 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes in the evening, it's really good practice and something that I did a lot of in labour. Did a lot of that movement, and it can really feel nourishing throughout labour and kind of ease some of those sensations, as well as helping your baby get into that position for birth. So then wave in the other direction. And I actually enjoyed labour. I'm just going to say that because I really did. and maybe that gives you hope, because I don't think I expected to enjoy it like I did. It's a journey, a very powerful journey. An amazing one. Giving birth to life, there's absolutely nothing like it. So now we're going to create a fist with both hands and just draw really slow circles throughout the wrists. The joint mobility we did last week. Nice watery movement, and then circles in the other direction. And now doing the circles with the shoulders, so you can let your arms release, lifting up the shoulders up towards the ears to start. And we'll take a slow breath in through the nose, really hunch them up to the ears so that you're getting really tense throughout the shoulders. And when we clench and tense muscles, it reminds them how to relax when they relax. So they actually relax further. Breathe in, lift, 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 tense. And big sigh, relax. Really love that actually, so I'll do 1 more 4 circles. Breathe in. And big sigh, release. Now drawing 3 rotations back, lifting up and back. Fluid movements, and then 3 rotations forwards, up and forwards. Now we'll make our way to standing. If you haven't put on any music already, now's a good time to, if you want to do that, but you don't have to. You can be music of your choice if you don't like my playlist. I definitely recommend making a playlist for your pregnancy, even if you only use it for the first part. It really helps. For your labour and your pregnancy, for the whole thing. So we're going to take a few hip circles standing now. So bringing your hands on your hips and drawing that circular movement throughout the hips. And this can be a nice one to do with your music getting into a nice little flow. Finding that freedom of movement around the hips that can feel tight in pregnancy, and creating a little more space for your bump. And coming back to centre and drawing a couple of circles out through the right leg and the right hip. You can lift your knee out to the side, drawing 3 circles. And coming back into centre, planting that foot down and lifting up through the left side as you draw those 3 circles. This next move is tree pose, and we'll have a play at linking tree to a few other poses, but first starting in tree. You can either bring your foot down to the ground. If your balance is feeling a little wobbly today, you're really feeling the size of your bump, then feel free to bring your right foot to the ground so that the ball of the foot is resting on the ground. You can place your hands heart centre. This might be a good balance for you. Or you could bring your foot just below the knee on the calf and have a little, see how that feels. You can have a little sway, find your balance. And an option to bring the foot a little higher if you're feeling you want that today. And I find that hugging in of the muscles of your legs, hugging in towards your bones, finding that strength throughout your foundation in your tree pose. And centering, grounding. And the balance poses can be really good to help build confidence. So feel free to keep the hands here, or you might like to explore reaching your hands up towards the ceiling. Keep the gaze soft and steady. And can you encourage the face to be relaxed and the jaw to be relaxed? And slowly drawing your hands back to centre and down. Stepping that right foot down and switching the sides. Finding your balance throughout your feet, so really spread the toes, just like you did with your hands earlier when we shaped out through the hands. Really spread out through your toes to find that distribution of weight throughout our feet. Placing the foot either on the floor, the calf, maybe higher. See how your balance is. And then either stay in here or reach your hands up towards the ceiling. As you settle into the stillness, can you return your awareness to that wave-like movement of the breath, the ebb and flow of your breath? Just as you find it, there's no need to change it in this shape. And you be with it and accept your breath as it is in this moment. And slowly coming back to centre. So there's 2 more poses, and then we're going to link those 3 poses together in a dance-like fashion. So the next pose is eagle pose. You can wrap your right leg over your left. Either keep the foot down on the ground and squeeze the thighs towards one another. Make sure you're not compressing the bumps, so have a little explore. Or you might like to squeeze the legs a little further up, finding more of a balance, and see how that feels. And then the right arm comes under the left arm. You can either take hands to opposite elbows or bring the back of the hands to touch, maybe the palms to touch into your eagle pose. Going into this balance, and steadying your gaze, finding that sense of focus, concentration and confidence. As you be with your breath in this shape. And slowly unravel. Stepping that right foot back. The left leg comes over, either keeping the foot on the ground or hugging in to bring the foot to a little hover. And then left arm under the right, maybe hands to shoulders, back of the hands touch, or the palms touch if that feels like a good option. And can you soften throughout the chest and the belly again, like we did in that opening shape? And you find that sense of relaxation with the breath in this new shape. And now as you release, I'm going to take the right hand over the left wrist and step your left foot behind you. That left foot just comes about a foot behind you, lifting up through that right side, and then stretching over towards the right side. So you're stretching all the way up through this left side. A little side stretch. Easing back to center. Doing the same on the other side. Right leg comes behind you. Left wrist, left hand to the right wrist. As you press down through your feet, breathe in and up, and then stretching over to that left side. And back to center, breathe in. And the arms release, and we'll transition between those three poses. Bringing yourself back into your tree pose. Finding that element of flow and adaptability between the shapes. Breathe in to reach up. Breathe out to lower the hands. Inhale to lift through the right leg. And exhale, cross into your eagle. Inhale, open the arms. And exhale, right arm under the left for your eagle shape. As you inhale, open up, right leg steps behind you. Left hand to wrist, moving into the stretch. And exhale, back to center. To do the same on the left side, tree pose. Breathe in, lift up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lift your left leg. And exhale, cross the legs. Breathe in to open your arms. And exhale, left arm under your right arm. Inhale, open. Right hand takes your left wrist as your left leg steps behind you. And exhale, back to center. Taking a slow breath in through the nose, you can have a little shake out through the legs and the arms. Slow breath in. And blow the lips out. One more like this, breathe in. We'll do that one more on each side, and I know it's coming, and find that element of flow and adaptability as you move with your breath. And if it feels uncomfortable to match a breath to a movement, then just find a rhythm with your breath so that there's no sense of force. So bring the left foot up, hands together. As you inhale, lift. As you exhale, hands draw together. Inhale, lift and open the leg. Exhale, cross the legs. As you breathe in, open. And as you breathe out, close, wrapping the arms, left arm under. Inhale, open, left foot steps behind, take hold of the left wrist. And exhale, back to center. So right foot comes into tree. Inhale, lift. And you exhale, lower. Breathe in, lift up through the leg. And exhale, cross. Inhale, open. And exhale, close, right arm comes under. Breathe in, open, right foot steps behind, right arm up. Moving into the stretch, and exhale back to center. Take one more shake, breathe in. And big sigh out. So we'll move down towards the mat now, bring the hands together. Turn the toes slightly out and feet are just a little wider than hip distance apart. Make sure there's lots of space for your bump as you come down. And slowly lower into your squat. Initially to the mat. Moving in towards the squat, letting gravity take hold of the pelvis and the hips for a few moments. Allowing your gaze to settle on the hands and feeling the weight of the pelvis kind of sink down and add a bit of length throughout the spine. This pose can help decompress the lower back, creating a little space between those vertebrae. And very gradually easing your way down to the ground. And we're going to come just to rest on the right side. So we won't be on the right side for long because it's okay for pregnancy for the short amount of movement, and then doing the same on the left side. So you can come down to lie down on the right side and support your head with your hand. And take a bend and start the lower leg. And then lift up through the top leg. And take your hand just behind your thigh so you can draw circles throughout the foot. So a nice bit of support. Reach up through the foot and draw a circular movement throughout the ankles. This can be a really nice one to do if you find you're getting swollen ankles. Lift up through them in a circle. And as you take that, just 3 more rotations in one direction and 3 in the opposite direction. And drawing your knees towards touching one another and squeeze the thighs towards one another. We're doing quite a lot of work to loosen the hips, and then this is bringing a little strength and stability to the hips. So as you draw the knees towards one another and hook them in towards one another, find a little resistance and really slowly, as if you're pushing the back of the thigh into water, dense, salty water, slowly lift the knee up so you feel that stability and strength around the hips. And then slowly drawing it back down towards the lower knee. We'll take 2 more like that. So if you're pushing against some thick water or honey, slowly open up. My leg looks a bit invisible because I've got a black background, but I'm just lifting the knee up and slowing it down. And final one. Imagine those magnets again on the hip bones as you find that slow, controlled lift throughout the knee. And then lowering it back down. And releasing, take just a circular movement throughout that hip. Just 3 rotations. Getting that sense of ease back in with a new added sense of strength. And then very easily step your way back up. Place that left hand up over there so you can ease your way back up. And mindful of baby and bump. And we'll come down to the left side. So supporting yourself in a similar way. So in the head, keeping that bend in the lower leg. And then reaching up through the right leg as you draw circles throughout the ankle. Take 3 in one rotation, one direction and 3 in the other. Bringing the knees to touch. And that kind of magnetizing of the hip bones, drawing the knees towards one another. And slowly pushing against that honey or dense water, lift up. You might like to place your hands on top of your thigh to find a little resistance pushing in towards the hand. And then slowing down that movement on the way down. And as you're doing this, see if you can allow the breath to be natural. So rather than moving with the breath, see if you can let go of that control of the breath. Really slowing down the movement and letting the breath be in its natural rhythm and state. After the final one, outstretch through the leg and then draw those fluid circles throughout the right side. Run out of space here, but you could outstretch that towards straight if you've got the space to in the circle. And coming back to sensei, easing your way back up. If anyone's wondering why I'm doing this in the lounge and not the actual yoga studio space, it's because it's too echoey in there and sounds terrible, unfortunately. So that's why. So before we come down to relaxation, we're going to take one more fluid movement, which can be a really nice movement for the hips and for the whole body. So I like to call it star pose. So for this one, you're going to bring your knees into a Z shape. So that, I think we did this one last week actually as one option. So knees into a Z shape where the left foot is kind of cupping the right knee, the right foot comes behind you. And the left hand comes to the side. I'm going to move the body as one. So as your hips come forwards, you're going to sweep up through the right side of the body. So we're going to press evenly down through the left hand, keeping both knees grounded, and then lifting the pelvis forwards and sweep your right arm up and over. So there's this nice long sense of release down the right side. And as you sweep the right arm forward, slowly draw your hips to the ground. You feel your body move as one, this fluid state. Inhale to sweep forwards and up as the fingers reach back, your hips draw forwards. And exhale, sweeping the fingertips forwards, slowly and mindfully draw your hips back to the ground. So you feel this relationship with the sweeping motion of the hand and the hips. Inhale to sweep up. And exhale, slowly sweep down. Taking one more like this, breathe in. And breathe out. So as we switch sides, we're just going to bring the feet a little wider than hip distance for a moment. Take your hands behind you and then roll your hips from side to side. So you can slide your hands up to meet you. There's no need to keep the hands standing back. We're just going to slide up towards the hips as you allow the knees to windscreen right from side to side. And then the legs to roll over to the right side. Step your right hand about a foot behind you. So you've got that contact throughout both knees. Then the contact down through the right hand, so it's about a foot away from your hip. Breathe in to sweep the hips forwards, arms sweeps back. And exhale forwards and down. You can play with that connection of breath and movement again. Breathe in. And breathe out. Take in 3 more. As you lower, easing your way back to your seat. We'll close, return into the sound work that we started with, and then come down towards a guided relaxation. So you can place the left hand back on the heart, feel it into the heartbeat, beating for 2 hearts, and your right hand down to your belly and your baby. Closing the eyes and coming back to that place of connection and grounding, slowing down. Being with the natural flow of your breath. How has it landed, and can you let go of any control to the breath? Being with its natural rhythm. Feeling that nourishing touch throughout the hands, that sense of nurture. And now consciously softening throughout the muscles of the face. Notice if any tension has started to arise, maybe around the brow, the eyes, the cheeks or the jaw. And let the lips lightly part. And the jaw soften again. And we'll return this time to the R, the OO and the M sound. But just doing one round of each before I guide you into relaxation. So the sound comes on the exhale. And take a slow breath in through the nose. And the breath out, do the R sound. Breathing in. Inhale for the OO sound. And breathing in for the M sound. Resting in the resonance of the vibration, noticing any movements throughout the body. Allowing the hands to gently release off the body, and we'll come down to a left side lying position. So placing a cushion or a bolster just underneath your knees, and then coming down to lie on the left side, allowing your right hand to rest wherever it's comfortable. So you could rest it heavily on the ground just in front of you, maybe on the knees. Find that place where it feels settled and restful. I really do recommend placing that cushion or bolster in between the thighs, and if you feel the hips are a little bony, place a blanket underneath the hips as well. So finding that place where you can completely settle. And as we begin to ease in towards relaxation, take a slow breath in through the nose. And a long, slow sigh through the mouth. As you sigh, let the body surrender and relax into the stillness. And take two more like this. Breathing in. As you breathe out, feel that full quality of letting go. Surrender. Being in this moment of relaxation. I'll read you a short poem by Donna Folds. Just for now, without asking how, let yourself sink into stillness. Just for now, lay down the weight you so patiently bear upon your shoulders. Feel the earth receive you, and the infinite expanse of the sky grow even wider as your awareness reaches up to meet it. Just for now, allow a wave of breath to enliven your experience. Breathe out whatever blocks you from the truth. Just for now, be boundless, free, with awakened energy tingling in your hands and feet. Drink in the possibility of being who and what you really are, so fully alive that the world looks differently, newborn and bright, vibrant, just for now. Without asking how, let yourself sink into stillness. As you rest in stillness, let your awareness land back on the rise and fall of your breath. As you experience it, recognize the movement of your breath within the stillness. Recognize the aliveness within you. This new life growing within you. And as you lie here in this pose, reaping the benefits from your practice this evening, take a moment to thank yourself for carving out this time for you and your baby. Not only nourishing yourself, but nourishing your baby. Thank yourself for giving yourself that time. And just a little movement throughout the fingers and the toes. And really slowly, mindfully, ease your way up to seated.